Don't ask people to treat you well. How they treat you is their choice. You cannot ask them, you should treat me well. They did not treat you well. That is their choice. You treat them well. That is your choice. Don't go on questioning how others treat you. By your questioning, they are not going to treat you any better. Remember, everyone is a postman. You get what you deserve. If your time is good, even the worst enemy will behave very nice with you. If your time is not good, even the best of best friends will start blaming you for nothing. Will behave like an enemy. So, realizing the greatness of time, you say, Kalaya Tasmai Namaha. Don't.
I absolutely adore this clip. Of course, when you hear him speak and say, don't tell other people how to treat you, how they treat you is how they want to treat you. How you treat them is how you want to treat them. It sounds a little harsh, so I felt the responsibility of just kind of elaborating on this. And basically, what he's saying is understand you don't have control over the manifestation of the thoughts and feelings of other people. It's not necessarily to say that you can't tell them to treat you well in a literal standpoint, but at least in my opinion, rather the expectation that you can, the expectation that you, once you say something, you have control over how they maneuver is absolutely false. You can tell a person how you feel. You can tell them how the experience made you feel, but that's about as far as you can go. At that point, you hand it over to them. They decide if they feel that your explanation and what you've explained to them is warranting some type of change, apology, accountability, or what have you. And they might decide to make changes in their behavior going forward. But all of those things are decided by the other person, not you. And when we're talking about communication and building relationships, that to me is a misconception that we don't realize that we even have. We talk a lot about boundaries and enforcing those boundaries, but no one really tells you that once you set the boundary, nobody really is obligated to adhere to the boundary. The boundary is not for them per se, the boundary is more for you. So you know where to stop investing, where to take a step back and recalculate how the relationship is going to be maintained and that kind of thing. So the boundary is more for you to make sure that your peace is maintained, your sanity, your mental health, that kind of thing. And then but it does also contribute to an opportunity for the other person, because once you set a boundary, they have an opportunity to show you if that boundary has value to them on so many levels, as far as their personal growth, how much your feelings matter to them, how they perceive themselves and want to be seen by others. It also shows whether or not they can self-regulate and motivate themselves to evolve. And it also helps with good communication skills. But ultimately, it's their decision and not yours. There was another point of the video where he was saying that timing is relevant as well. When you have good timing, the worst person in their character can seem like a good person. Then you can have the worst timing, and even the best of people in their character can seem like the worst of a person. So basically, to explain to you that even when you're a good person all the time, you still can receive bad behavior from other people just because of your timing. People assess their reaction not just based off of you in particular. They decide based off of how their day is going, how they feel, if they're in pain, if they're irritated, if something has already ruffled their feathers, and you add on to that, or your timing is bad, you have a high chance of being received or having an experience with them that's ultimately negative. And it doesn't make them a bad person, and it also doesn't make you a bad person. I had a live not too long ago, and I was explaining that this same idea is about control. Think about driving on the freeway or the interstate. When we get on the interstate, we understand that there are rules to the interstate. The speed limit, you should hit your blinker, this is the way you get over, this is how, you stop, and this is how you adhere to the people around you. And a person's mind will say, because we have rules, there's a speed limit, there's correct ways and incorrect ways to maneuver your car, that you can hold these people accountable. Hence road rage. We tend to be in the car saying, why are you driving slow in the fast lane? Why are you driving fast in the slow lane? Why did you shoot way from the fast lane all the way to the slow lane just to get off in the next 2 seconds? We like to police other people when in reality, your assignment is for you to know how to drive, and you also to know how to defensively drive, which means you understand that even though there are rules on the road, some people will not use their blinkers, some people will ride their brakes, some people will beat their horn, some people will speed, some people will drive too slow, and you still have to get from point A to B safely and get your family there safely. It's navigating other people the same way. We go out into the world and we talk about courtesy and manners. Those are the rules of the road. But we also have to understand that people do not have to adhere to those rules of the road. That is actually a courtesy, not an obligation. And we like to obligate people to those things. You may feel as though because we have these rules of the road or manners and common courtesies that you get to hold people to those common courtesies and label them something and give them boundaries because of these rules. But only thing you can do is set boundaries. Set boundaries to protect yourself, and the rest is up to the other person. We have to understand that life happens, and that at any moment a person's personality or their mood can change, whether it be being cut off on the road, or not enough people acknowledging you and speaking kind words to you, or you just got up on the wrong side of the bed. All of those things are an array or a spectrum of emotions and experiences which contribute to the mood of a person, which means that a person's mood can go from one end of the spectrum all the way to the other end in one day. And because we know that there are rules to the road, or manners and common courtesies, we try to hold people to those, not acknowledging that even though these are things that people assume that people should conduct themselves as, some people do not adhere to those, and they prefer to demonstrate how they feel in real time, where some people think that that's an incorrect thing to do or an impolite thing to do. Everyone doesn't have the same perspective, so we have to understand that reality and not convince ourselves that we actually have control over the mannerisms, verbiage, and movements of other people. Their choices are their own. The only thing you can do is let them know how you would want to receive them, and they either will understand and cater to that need, or they will understand and explain why they can't cater to that need or won't, or they will explain that they view your view to be completely ridiculous and they're not going to adhere to it at all. Regardless of how you communicate to another person, they have no obligation to commit to that conversation. The only thing you can really expect is for them to listen, and some people won't even do that. We have to understand that life is not about control. It's about learning how to navigate it as it comes. And people are different, and their experiences are different. How they show themselves are different. We expect to see consistency within people, but we don't have consistent personalities. Everybody is different and express themselves reflecting that same difference. Control makes you feel safe because you're riddled with fear. You have to build confidence in your ability to respond as things develop in front of you, to establish your confidence in reacting in the moment. Then you will be less afraid and feel the need to control people less because you are now confident in your ability to defensively drive, i.e., acting accordingly depending on what develops in front of you as it transpires. And when you are confident in your ability to do that, you don't worry about if a person is trying to manipulate you, if a person is trying to deceive you, if a person is trying to be dishonest. You ask yourself, what am I trying to do? Am I accomplishing what I need to accomplish? Am I getting what I need to get? If the answer is yes, then you're fine. If the answer is no, what do I need to change? Bottom line, not even exclusive to other people, but yourself as well. Sometimes you're having a rough day and you get a little snippy too. And some people catch you at the wrong time or the right time. We all are a product of both positive and negative energy. You are not always a good person. You are not always a nice person. So understanding that about yourself allows you the room to understand other people as well. And you start being less judgmental and more understanding of the circumstances surrounding these events, and have more compassion and say, sometimes you will get snapped on or get your head bit off because you caught that person at the wrong moment. Of course, we can assume or project or put a boundary that they should regulate themselves in that area. But some people feel that if I'm irritated, I should show that I'm irritated. And yes, it can affect other people if you allow it to affect you. If you are a person that navigates through life and say some people are going to experience anger, some people are going to experience laughter, sadness, and so on and so forth, and it's going to look like however they want it to look like in that moment, related to their experience and their choice in that moment. And while I understand I won't like everything, I understand I also won't dislike everything. So you have to kind of learn to take life as it comes instead of trying to hold life to a particular narrative. We lack the ability to realize that it's our control that makes us stress, that makes us feel hurt, that makes us feel like things are not going as we planned it. And a lot of times we receive those experiences as being highly negative only because we didn't have control over the outcome. But if you understand that you never had control, and what you're trying to actually learn about yourself is how to navigate these situations, essentially to defensively drive, then you understand the purpose for all of these experiences. So you can learn when you face this personality type again, how you want to approach it, how to keep your peace, how to express yourself, and how to set a boundary, and how to maneuver if that boundary is not adhered to. But in no way does it say that when you get on the interstate, you can still control the cars around you. You have no control. The only thing you can do is respond to what they do to keep yourself safe, and learn from the experience so you know how to not put yourself in that position going forward. And also have a complete open palette for empathy, to understand that people sometimes are just not in a good place, and sometimes it does spill over onto you, and you just have to have that conversation and talk about it. I know life seems hard, but we make it more complicated with trying to make it something that it isn't necessarily. Acceptance is what keeps your stress levels down. We have to ultimately make peace with the fact that the only person you actually have control over is you. Peace.